I think 2023 World Cup was a huge I mean, it would have felt completely surreal if we had won. It's always sort of been a one-man show in every occasion, because pre-2019 it was always just Kohli, it was always just Sachin, it was always Dhoni.
I feel 2023 ODI is what 2014 is to Messi. And
Fair,
2023 is to Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
Like he won
100%,
the golden ball and won the player of the
tournament. He did so much, but he couldn't win.
I saw that 2023 shift in those people and in myself also, that now we are feeling also for Rohit.
We're coming back to the selflessness of Rohit Sharma as a whole. Bhai, we need a captain like Rohit rather than a captain like Kohli, I think.
Virat Kohli as a test captain was huge.
Test cricket is always very psychological, because you can't control everything just by strategy. At the end of the day, a cricketer like Sachin, of pure skill maybe, you have to catch a player of that greatness off guard. Kohli stopped the team on the boundary line. They created a huddle, and Kohli said for the next 60 overs they should feel like hell out there. 10 good players rather than one amazing player.
Yeah.
I said 10 because the 11th is Bumrah.
Bumrah is becoming our Sachin.
Kohli's consistency and longevity is so ridiculous that we have had two princes that never became king, whilst the king is still playing. Yeah. You know, if you look at it from KL Rahul to Gill now.
The greatest arc there ever is, which is Hardik Pandya.
Yes, absolutely.
And it could be a movie.
Yeah.
You know how
I better hope it is.
Yeah.
For Rishab Pant at this point.
Yeah.
Test cricket in Australia. I think will be the biggest test of him. Is he completely back?
This is Hupshup Radio.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Hupshup Radio, and this is Vinayak, your host, and this is Hemant. Hemant, say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so today we are chilling with a friend, with a bro, and he's a sports enthusiast, and we too are also. Brought him in to learn something new from him and some insider stories and whatnot. So welcome Sriram.
Hi guys, thank you for having me. Thanks. Yeah, very excited to be here.
Awesome.
We're excited too, yeah, come on.
Great.
We were having some discussions and everything, and all of us are cricket enthusiasts, and some more than the other, but yeah. So we were talking mostly about
Mostly more than a lot, right?
Yeah. So we were mostly talking about the 2023 World Cup, how did it go, and then the T20 World Cup, right? And how did that happen, that magic? Yeah. So, what are your thoughts about the 2023 World Cup?
I think the 2023 World Cup was a huge disappointment. I think it was almost too good to be real, I felt. Like, I mean, if we had won, it would have been too good to be true. I think in the manner in which the team had actually played, the kind of cricket that we were seeing, the collective emotion of the nation as a whole, watching cricket was so amazing, as an audience member.
Correct.
And, I think it almost could have healed Indian cricket after all of the disappointments that we had seen for almost
2011 or so.
That whole decade of, disappointments, I think. But the 2024 World Cup came at the perfect time. I think it almost healed those wounds to a certain extent.
Yeah. And almost immediately it came.
Yeah. So I think the actual recovery process was quite quick in that regard. But yeah, I think the 2023 World Cup was a huge I mean, it would have felt completely surreal if we had won. Yeah. I think we should have won, to be very honest as well.
Our team was perfect.
Yeah.
Just perfect.
I mean, you can't get a better team. I think
everybody on their positions was just perfect.
Yeah.
How Kohli played in that World Cup. I am completely biased towards Kohli.
Yeah.
So that
Fair
is
enough.
my original, bias towards. But I loved how Rohit Sharma switched his gears.
Yeah, true. So I think he turned away from his responsibilities in 2019 World Cup. If you actually look at it closely, 2019 Rohit Sharma was the run machine. He was the only guy who was getting those big numbers in every
500s
game.
Or so,
he scored 500s exactly. But it wasn't enough, right? I think the rest of the team fell flat when Rohit Sharma didn't score runs.
Right.
I think so. For him to actually step down from that role of getting a volume of runs to actually doing what the team required, I think that shows how great of a player Rohit Sharma himself is.
या फिर जो opener को करना चाहिए उस position पर, right?
Exactly. I think nobody really expected Rohit to play the way that he played. I think he got out on like 45, 49 in so many occasions,
Mostly,
but the game was done in the first 5 overs itself. So I think that almost shifted the pressure, because I think the biggest issue that India had faced up until then was that we were crumbling under pressure very quickly.
Correct.
In any big occasion, in any big crunch situation, India would crumble under pressure. But Rohit would just completely transfer that pressure onto the opponents, that you can just play a natural game and win. Right? So I think that's where Rohit Sharma as an opener in the last 2 World Cups has shown how great he is, I feel.
Yeah. Like after 50 or 70 opener partnership, then you can just play your natural game. For example, I felt it on the screen that how easy for it is for Kohli.
Yeah.
Because earlier the leverage was on him, that you have to score and you have to be the main man. But now when Rohit Sharma and...
Sort of like diversifying, no?
Yeah, when Rohit Sharma is getting those numbers earlier, then Kohli can play his natural game, which is, accelerating in the later stage of your innings. And
I think another very unprecedented thing about the Indian team at the moment is that if you look at teams across Indian history, it's never been, it's always sort of been a one-man show in every occasion, because pre-2019 it was always just Kohli, it was always just Sachin, it was always Dhoni or Gavaskar and all these guys. But now we actually have a 1-2 punch. If it's Rohit, it's Rohit. If it's not Rohit, it's Kohli. If we don't have Kohli, KL might chip in. If not KL, maybe Shreyas can chip in. You have Gill at the top who's doing so well as well. So I think you have alternatives to every different department, I feel.
If everybody fails, Pant comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
Jadeja also has some...
So you have some sort of, I don't know, you have breathing room for every senior player, that even if it's not your day, somebody else might take the laurels. So yeah.
So basically, people don't shut their TVs when you're...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When Kohli goes... Which used to happen when Sachin was there, right?
Yeah.
We talked about the NatWest Trophy and how...
2007,
who was that exactly? Whose parents were that?
Mohammad Kaif.
Mohammad Kaif
That
actually.
story was...
It was a ridiculous story, by the way.
2023 se 2024 T20.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest... biggest healer of our
100%.
generation.
2024 was good, 23 was not, right?
23 was the very awful disappointment in the end, because it was a home World Cup as well.
True that.
India World Cup in India, we were winning every game by huge margins. None of the games were even close leading up to the final.
One-sided.
Yeah, completely one-sided.
मेरे साथ ऐसा सीन था, I got introduced into cricket very late. So 2023 was when I started watching matches and all, and I used to bug him a lot about details and everything. So I was very excited about this match, India-Australia. And that was a big disappointment. I set up an entire screen projector, this, that, and I'm sitting crazy shit, man.
And my leg was injured. I could not join him for the screening, but he called me and he said, "भाई बहुत डर लग रहा है." मैं बोल रहा था first time.
मतलब मेरे लिए first
time था.
I could feel that emotion. I mean, पहले I was not able to connect to people. यार इतना क्या हो रहा है यार? But then I felt it, man.
Yeah.
Or 2023 was almost a magical run.
Yeah.
Like you cannot touch the team.
It would have felt scripted if we had won. To be very honest, it would have just been like हम Bollywood movie देख रहे हैं.
Scripted by
और इंडिया में भी हो रहा था. और इंडिया में भी हो रहा था.
Yeah. Home because 2011 was so magical because it happened in India. The final was at Marine Drive, Bombay, Wankhede.
Yes.
Sachin's last World Cup. There was a lot of emotions riding around the World Cup. But I think 2023 would have been probably the greatest sporting moment in India's history for sure.
I feel 2023 ODI is what 2014 is to Messi. And
Fair,
2023 is to Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
Like he won
100%,
won the golden ball and won the player of the
tournament. He did so much, but he couldn't win.
Yeah, but he couldn't win at the end. And there's a famous picture, I'll plug it in, that Messi is looking away from the trophy in 2014.
Yeah.
And same as Virat Kohli.
Yeah. That parallel, I've seen that.
Yeah, he's called to commentate something to share him, and he just takes his trophy and he says, "No, I don't want to." And, that breaks your heart.
Yeah, it does.
It does. I mean, I can imagine the feeling.
Yeah, and it is like having your dream in your hand and you did not.
It's so close, but I think the 2020 you could see the raw emotion on all of the players in what happened in 2024 in this year's World Cup. Is that nobody, none of this camera trained nonsense. Everyone's just bawling their eyes out, having the World Cup in the hand. People like you'll never see a World Cup winning Indian captain just lying on the floor.
Yeah.
Rohit Sharma just went flat on the floor. He's just bawling his eyes out completely. Like that's raw emotion. Like that almost felt to them कि 2023 में जो नहीं कर पाए वो अभी कर दिया.
It's not a PR campaign, but yeah, the point is it works better than even if it was.
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
fair,
true,
fair.
true.
It did work for them at the end of the day. But 2020.
So maybe no strategy is a better strategy.
I don't know.
For PR I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not for the game.
Yeah, okay.
Not for the game. हम बिल्कुल sporting में चले गए.
मेरा background भी नहीं है ना वो.
Okay.
But anyhow मैं 2023 की मैं वापस बात करता हूँ. But for us, मतलब I'm majorly a Kohli fan, and some of my friends are usually Kohli fan, and they felt very distraught when he was removed from the captaincy and everything. And I saw that 2023 shift in those people and in myself also, that now we are feeling also for Rohit.
Yeah.
Earlier than that, the bias was huge. The divide was huge. Who is a Rohit fan? Who is a Kohli fan? They are totally divided among themselves, right? But जो कैप्टन एज अ रोहित ने करके दिखाया, everybody was like कि कोई बात नहीं, हार गए,
completely,
you did wonders and everything.
Yeah, so basically I think again we're coming back to the selflessness of Rohit Sharma as a whole. I think we needed I think as a cricket watching nation, I think we needed that bit of a reality check कि भाई we need a captain like Rohit rather than a captain like Kohli. I think it's a very controversial opinion, I know, but Kohli as a captain is too fiery for an Indian team to win.
He's good for army.
Yeah, I think we needed a more of a calming presence, hand over the shoulder of the young players. Like, you can play a natural game, it's fine. Like, we don't have to go out there and win as a battle. You can just take it easy a little bit. And I think that showed. I think the 2023 and the 2024 World Cup as we're talking about, the performances showed that we have a calming presence in the dressing room now, rather than people being too frantic कि भाई यहाँ जीतना है जाके.
But I've seen the memes. I mean, the way disappointedly he looks at the I'm like, वो काफी है, मतलब चिल्लाना नहीं पड़ रहा. इसके look से फर्क पड़ रहा है लोगों को.
नहीं, but as a captain, I think it was almost cyclical in a way, because Ganguly was a fiery captain, and then came Dhoni,
exactly,
which was a calming,
तो यार change of pace तो होता है, मतलब वो तो
it's required
of leadership में होता है.
Exactly.
People get opposed to what's going on.
Or Virat Kohli as a test captain was huge.
He's the best, I think. In test format में, I think Kohli is the best for sure.
Yeah, as a complete new person, मैं ऐसा पूछता हूँ कि मतलब Virat Kohli has a aggressive, very fiery personality, and test is supposed to be a very slow format.
Yeah.
So contrast नहीं है यहाँ पे.
So that is the whole point. See, test में if you're not fiery, it won't seem slow. So if अगर टेस्ट के जैसे फॉर्मेट में डर के खेलोगे ना, तो it just puts more pressure on you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what the format is, cricket is a very fairly simple sport. Like this is a very famous, I think, Bradman quote from back in the day, where he used to say cricket is a very fairly simple sport. You just have to score more runs and beat the team. That's at the end of the day, that's the objective of the sport. So I think that's
the objective of any sport.
Yeah, to be honest. So yeah, if you break it down like that, I think if you're aggressive, you can just win the game quicker. If you look at it that way, you can just change the pace of the game completely if you're aggressive.
No, I've also understood, since I've been watching test, and my favorite format is test. So I've been reading a lot of articles of biggest of the biggest names. So one of the guys, I don't remember the exact name, but one of the guys said that test is actually a test of your temperament.
Yeah.
And when you're fiery, the other opposition gets scared.
Yeah.
Batting for 5 days is not very hard for you.
Right.
But when the opposition is at your face, then to control that, I don't want to flick.
Again, see, it's psychological.
Yeah. You can't succumb to your fears. Basically, you have to survive it. I think Test cricket is mostly about survival.
And if you're aggressing, the other opponent basically has to play according to you.
Yeah.
In order to
and they might end up making mistakes. That's the whole point. You're forcing mistakes onto them. Right, because there's no time constraint. You can play your natural game.
The way you explained it now, man, it felt like chess.
It's very psychological. Test cricket is always very psychological, because you can't control everything just by strategy. Right. At the end of the day, a cricketer like Sachin, of pure skill maybe.
Obviously, that's why we have so much sledging.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to catch a player of that greatness off guard.
Right.
You have to knock them off their natural game.
Yeah.
Nahi to he'll just keep batting. It will be a net session for him. The bowler will come bowl. I'll just tong the ball down. That's it.
That is it. I
No
will
objective.
score the cover tries and that is it.
If you're not in their heads, if you're not forcing them to make mistakes, then the test cricketers just there's no point to a test match.
And that's why the fiery Virat
Yeah.
comes in. And the tradition for the test
Opened my eyes.
and the tradition for test team is like you take 3 fast bowlers and the other 2 will be your spinners and then the half-time bowlers which are mostly spinners, you know. And he made it a point that I want to take 4 fast bowlers and that is it.
Yeah.
Because fast bowling is in a way aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, he says that I want to, you know, they might score runs because you score a lot of runs on fast bowling because the you know the speed is good and you just have to knock it out. Yeah, and he said no, I just want to get them out. I just want to get them.
We're not here to restrict them to a score. We're here to like take 10 wickets.
And
At the end of the day, that's the objective of the game. As I said, you just have to knock them out quickly. So what Kohli as a test captain did was that he basically said कि generally in Indian conditions, test matches में क्या होता था? The first 10 overs would be 2 fast bowlers bowling 5 overs each, and then the spinners would come on, bowl the rest of the day. Those 2 players will bowl 20 overs each on both sides. The game will go like that. But what he said was, he said this in a press conference, we want to create a mindset. This is not just one series or one like year of playing cricket. We want to create a mindset.
Right.
I think Ravi Shastri was the coach at that time, and he also said the same thing. It's like we are building a mindset ki bhai we are fearless. Fearless cricket will propel the cricket forward for India especially.
And there's a very famous interviewer of Ravi Shastri in the post-match ceremony. He said the journalist is asking him what is the nature of this, you know, how are you planning, how are you strategizing. He said we won the game, we'll celebrate. That is because we are here to win. We are not here to play in some style or you know.
I think again coming back to Virat Kohli, that famous pre-match huddle in that England game at Lords, I think it was. He said to the guys, I think this is the 4th innings and India was very close. Like it was almost an impossible scenario for India to win. Basically, we had one day to take 10 wickets, and it's not like it's never done before by India in a foreign condition, by the way. So what Kohli, I think the cameras just minutely picked it up in that huddle as the team is walking out. Kohli stopped the team on the boundary line. They created a huddle, and Kohli said for the next 60 overs they should feel like hell out there. So that almost like just sets it up like you are going out there to destroy them. You're going to dominate them. So like I think that's the kind of psychology.
Rule of war as well.
True.
Appear strong when you're weak.
So you just put all of the pressure on the team, opposing team so early on that you're almost cruising in your natural game.
Right.
And Harsha Bogle is commentating in that match. And when the huddle starts in, the camera starts to pan in. And he said, wait a minute, there's something happening. It was almost like an army general commanding his soldiers. And he says to the team, 60 overs tak mere ko koi hasta hua dikha nahi. He said that.
For the next 60 overs, no one should be laughing on the field. Like this is serious, we're here for war or something.
They should feel like hell out there. And that is what happened.
We were so hostile in that game, by the way. I mean, away from all of the bias, as a fan, I'm looking like, bhai, ye kya dekh raha hu main?
Working out well for them.
Yeah. Siraj was just bowling his bouncers and he was walking up to the batsman in every ball.
Every over a stare down. Like the slips mein,
Visuals are coming to me.
Everyone in the slips is screaming at every dot ball. There's like sledging. The people are like shouting at the batter saying you can't play this, you can't do this, all that. Like you could physically see the batsmen being uncomfortable in their home ground.
Specifically.
We as a colonially oppressed nation have gone to our colonizers in their home ground and they're feeling uncomfortable at their home.
Exactly. Just 11 people. Imagine if we just stormed their home country, what will happen? And these are just 11 people, and anybody from our team is going to the going to the stump mic and saying something, and you know that is what was happening.
Crazy.
But anyhow, coming back to the T20 World Cup as we were discussing, so अब हमारी team बिल्कुल change हो चुकी है. You know, Shreyas has gone out, and KL has gone out.
Yeah.
Virat and Rohit are the only constants.
I mean, they've retired from T20s, but yeah, in the World Cup.
No, from the 2023 to
2023, yes, they're still there, yes.
Yeah.
They're the only two certified constants with Bumrah.
Yeah, with Bumrah.
Yeah.
So Bumrah will always be there.
Yeah.
But anyhow, the whole team has changed.
Yeah.
And how do you see that shift from 2023 to 2024? What the team has done different this time? And
I think in terms of one-day cricket, I think most of the pressure is off Kohli and Rohit. I mean, it's funny to say that the pressure is off them. It'll always be on them when they're batting.
Yeah.
Because as a nation, we just depend on those two.
Yeah.
But I think in general, from a selector's perspective and from a new coach's perspective, from
Right.
Gautam Gambhir, that is, I think they are going to look at what we can do once these two are gone.
Correct.
Because they're already thinking from that mindset in the T20 formats.
मतलब ये Messi वाला scene है that
Yeah.
there's no one after them. ऐसा
Yeah.
scene नहीं है. You
So
have talent.
you have to. So again, I don't
you have
think.
to nurture the.
Yeah. Because I think in the current crop of players, I don't think we have the kind of talent quality that is required from one guy to propel an entire team forward.
Right.
We don't have that one-man star power yet.
Uh-huh.
Gill is predicted to be that guy, and I think he can be, but I think he's not there yet. So I think you need
Correct.
10 good players rather than one amazing player.
Yeah.
I think that's how in general the game is going to go. I said 10 because the 11th is Bumrah. We don't really need to take that into consideration at all.
And sometimes I was
I
surprised.
feel that also.
Yeah, and sometimes I was surprised, and I think the whole country was surprised at how Bumrah is becoming our Sachin and our Kohli.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
can depend on him. He can win you matches.
For bowling.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
never
and-
had a bowler have that kind of faith.
And we have never been a bowling nation.
Yeah.
So to
Exactly.
speak.
Yeah.
I have never heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So I think-
to depend on Bumrah and to have a player playing so consistently
Yeah.
that he's getting 3 wickets every game.
Yeah.
And even if not 3, he'll get the minimum
You know,
runs.
that's what I think I think it was Mike Hussey or somebody had said in a press conference once that Bumrah is so good now that in a T20 game, opposing teams will plan for 16 overs. Because the rest of the 4 are Bumrah. You can't do anything with that. You plan for the rest of the 16.
That's already there.
Yeah, so I think that's the domination that we're talking about. Right? He's
Yeah.
such a big trump card that you just build your entire team around a bowler now, which is unheard of in Indian cricket ever. So you can surround him with really good players of his caliber and you can just win a game from there. So I think that's what we did in the T20 World Cup also. We surrounded Bumrah with moving parts that would help India win in any circumstance in the bowling department.
Correct.
Because you have Rohit and Kohli at the top, you don't need to really worry about batting that much.
Yeah.
Now you have at the bottom, like in the bowling side, for example, Ashdeep is a very aggressive bowler. You have Siraj who's very aggressive. You have Shami who's just brilliant at everything. Right. You have Kuldeep who's very controlled. You have Jadeja, you have Ashwin, you have Akshar Patel. All of these guys as like on their own might not win you a game. But if you surround them with the greatness of
The
Bumrah,
synergy is so that
it's very
it becomes
contagious.
hostile for
Yeah.
the opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we just planned the entire squad around that, and which is why I think we won in the kind of fashion that we did.
2024.
Yeah.
And I heard a commentating session between, I think it was Harsha Bhogle and Ian Bishop. He said that, why we make it a point to talk about Bumrah is because the younger lot will come in and they will look at the stats.
Yeah.
And he won't have as many wickets as his influence is.
Yeah.
Because batters are scared to hit him.
Yeah.
They won't get.
No one will take any risks against him.
No one will take.
So the thing is, he is that good that they play defensive and don't.
Yeah, they just want to
don't
get done
score.
with his overs. That's how good he is.
Yeah.
Like even in a 50-over game, you just imagine how intimidating it must be for an opponent.
Totally.
We basically have 40 overs. The rest of the 10 are his. We can't really do anything about it. Even in the World Cup final that we lost, you look at the stat sheet, it's striking you in the face that they have not tried anything against Bumrah. He's bowled I think 8 overs or something and he's given like 20 runs.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, by the way.
And he saved us in the 16th or 17th over, giving 3 runs. And
So I think that's how sort of now opposing teams are almost caught off guard. Because up until now your planning was how are you going to get Sachin out? How are you going to get Kohli out? How are you going to Rohit out?
Right.
Now in your batting department also you have this phenomenon कि like हम बैटिंग कैसे करेंगे अब. They're completely thrown off also. So I think that's how the going forward, I think the squad selection as you were talking about, I think that's how the complete shift will be seen. I think we'll not pack our batting as much. I think now we're going towards more of a bowling centric.
I was watching something and this thing came up. We meet the girl's father and there's nothing common to talk about. And it's like, at least we have Bumrah in common.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank God we have Bumrah. And then you start the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
This I've heard.
Yeah.
So what else we wanted to come to was KL Rahul. I mean, he's coming up big shot now.
Yeah.
So I need to know more about it.
I think I want to title this section as the the king that was promised, but he only remained a prince.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Okay. I think
ऐसे ही सब कुछ सुना है. This makes me more curious.
Yeah, that is a curious case, and I have also titled the session "The Curious Case of KL Rahul."
Right. So I think, I mean, it is a very curious case with KL Rahul. To be honest, I think we have, again, going on a tangent before we start. Kohli's consistency and longevity is so ridiculous that we have had two princes that never became king, whilst the king is still playing.
Yeah.
If you look at it from KL Rahul to Gill now, there's a second prince that has already been crowned, and still Kohli is at the top of his game. So I think KL Rahul was always earmarked to be the next, to take the throne forward from Kohli, of course. He peaked, I think, to give KL his credit. I think
basically he's Munna from Mirzapur, no?
Yeah.
And
he was also the vice captain for so long.
Yeah, he was exactly.
Kohli, he was like he's coming up naturally.
Yeah, but I think to give KL his credit, I think he peaked too early. I think for his own downfall, to be honest, I think he peaked a little too early. He was just at the top of his game way too young, and I think it almost sort of phased out once he had a couple of sort of bad phases.
Yeah,
he I think, I don't know how to say this, but I think very unfortunately he got phased out of the team because of a couple of bad phases, and he never was able to make it back. I think a big thing with KL is he's always going to be a phenomenally technical batsman.
Yeah.
But the confidence has been a big issue with him. You're never going to watch a KL game and be like, he doesn't have the technique. You're always going to say he doesn't have intent. Because if he plays in the fearless manner that he started out as, there's very few players in the world that you would say he's better than.
You become more subtle after things happen, and
I think
comeback is not easy.
He's naturally become a little tentative. I think that's
and
sort
of numerous injuries also happened in his career, and which actually contributed.
I think KL is still a phenomenal cricketer. I think rest assured, I think he's still going to be a regular in the team going forward, at least in test matches, I feel. Even if he's not the natural wicket keeping option, I think Pant will be the natural wicket keeping option. But I think once we are looking at a senior batter to take over from Kohli and Rohit in one days and in tests, because I think the T20 KL Rahul is gone now. I mean, it's very sad to say that, but I think the T20 KL era is done as of now, because I think there are too many adaptive T20 batters out there in the nation right now that KL could make a comeback, unless it's very drastic. So I think it's the longer formats that KL must be looking at the moment. And I think once we hit that very, very sad phase of Indian cricket where we are saying goodbye to Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, that will be the time I think we'll look at the seniority of KL Rahul to be like, you have to be the anchor now. Even if he's not the captain, I think he has to be that senior leadership, I think. So,
correct. But also, I think, like Dravid, he's almost synonymous to Dravid. And how we looked at Dravid, that he can fit in almost all positions. Like 2023, he played at 5, right? And he is used to play at the opening position, which Kohli was taking, right? Or Gill was taking, right? So he's that adaptive. When you have him at 5, he will give you a match-winning, knock.
So I think that again comes down to the actual technical aspect of his game. I think he's so superior to anyone else of his generation for sure. He's so technically gifted that he can just slot in anywhere. He's just the best plug-in player of all time, right? You can it's like a USB adapter. You can just push it in and it'll work. I think it's just been a very sort of, I don't know, it's been very unfortunate for him, the kind of things that have happened.
If you write a book for him, that would be named, The Wall in Making.
The plug and play. The plug and play wall.
Correct. Anyhow, shifting from KL Rahul, we were talking about
dead man walking, no?
Yeah, okay.
my bad.
Whatever. I still feel he's class in every way, but still taking no credits of him. But we were talking about the the greatest arc there ever is, which is Hardik Pandya.
Yes, absolutely.
And it could be a movie.
Yeah,
you know how
I better hope it is.
Yeah, how the previous 2 years have been for him. It could be a phenomenal movie, and I will watch 100 shows of them.
Yeah.
But how do you see? What are your thoughts?
I think again, very very wholesome, very heartwarming story of Hardik Pandya for sure.
Yeah.
I think I saw this. I saw a video in the morning. This morning I saw a video where I think a new piece of footage was released from one of the fans, where after winning the 2024 World Cup, the Indian team has landed in Bombay. They're heading out of the Bombay airport. And, Kohli and Rohit and Surya Kumar, all of these guys are like hounded with security. They're walking out.
Yeah.
And Pandya just has the World Cup trophy in his hand, shades on. He's walking out of the Bombay airport. It's the most class video I've ever seen in my life.
Sigma.
I don't give and the caption was the best thing. And the caption just said that, imagine getting an entrance like this in the city that hoped for your downfall just like 12 months ago. The whole Mumbai Indians fiasco just masked our entire opinions of how great of a cricketer Hardik Pandya is.
Indeed.
I think again, one of the downsides of IPL being is ingrained into our bodies.
Start with the timeline.
Yeah.
Like how did it happen, and for the new audience also. First, what happened was Hardik Pandya was phenomenal with Gujarat Titans, right?
Yes.
He brought the team, a new team.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was made the captain.
And they won the
tournament.
tournament.
Thought of him as a captain.
Yeah.
Ashish Nora thought.
Yeah.
Right? And nobody thought him of as a captain. He was always looked at as a very flamboyant batter. He would never, be able to lead.
Unpredictable. Sorts.
Yeah. He's so brat, he would never be a leader. That was the mindset. But then he's made a captain. And then for 2 seasons, the team was in the finals.
Yeah.
They won.
They basically, Pandya was the captain for 2 years at Gujarat.
Yeah.
First year, they won the tournament. Like first year as a captain, as a franchise, they won the tournament.
Yeah.
The next year, they've got in the final again. So I think after that, it was just like, okay, Gujarat is now Pandya. But then again, the fiasco happens. That's where I think as a whole, the ceremonial shift of Hardik Pandya as a cricketer in India's eyes completely shifted. I feel so. Mumbai Indians offered him that lucrative contract.
And it's so unpredictable, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this time they are with you, the next moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was very unfair.
It was very wise of Virat Kohli to say, now I'm playing for India now.
Yeah.
No fans.
Yeah.
So I think so. The whole Mumbai Indians thing happened. They offered him this lucrative contract. He said, yes, I want to come back to the team. Rohit Sharma was displayed. I think the biggest unfortunate incident for Hardik Pandya was not him becoming Mumbai captain. It was that he just unnaturally replaced Rohit Sharma as the captain. And that's what created the outrage all across, I think, Mumbai Indians fans, for example. So I think him becoming the Mumbai Indians captain, the kind of campaign that Mumbai had, finishing bottom of the table, it turned into a crate of sour grapes. And I think for him to be abused left, right and center for those 3.5 months, him being a question. I mean, first of all, it's the most ridiculous thing that an IPL campaign can, put Pandya's position in the Indian team into scrutiny. That just doesn't make any sense.
Correct.
He's outright the best all-rounder in the country, probably the best all-rounder in the world, to be very honest. For him to even be questioned to be part of India's team was horrible. Correct. So I think then he gets picked into the team. There is a lot of shouts of, will he play under Rohit's captaincy now? Yeah. They've had such a rift. Again, media made rift. They were completely fine playing for Mumbai together. Yeah. None of this mattered. Yeah. Playing for India, World Cup, we've had a very, very disappointing run just 1 year ago. We want to heal those wounds. This is a big opportunity and all of that. And Pandya ends up probably being the best player in the tournament. And then just to see him completely break down in the final, it just meant too much to him. Right. It's a World Cup win for India. It's huge. Yeah. But for him, you could just see it from an outsider watching. It was just like, bro, I have just completed this. I myself can't believe this is happening. Correct. Because it was such a fairy tale end also, the fact that he bowled the last ball of the game.
Right.
That's what decided it. India had won the game at 19.5. The fifth ball of the last over, the game was done. South Africa can't win.
Yeah.
So he already has tears in his eyes as he's bowling the last ball. Everyone is like looking, okay, we've won.
Like,
Virat Kohli is like this, thank God.
And there is a shot, I think they released this after the match happened. I think there's a shot that the Star Sports camera actually caught where Kohli and Rohit are looking at Pandya as he's bowling. And they have tears in their eyes. It's just the most beautiful moment. Pandya runs in, bowls the ball, it's done, and he just falls to the ground. Rohit on one end is absolutely flat on his back. कि भाई हाँ जीत गए. Kohli is looking to the skies. कि I've complete. Yeah, I have goosebumps speaking about it right now.
Yeah, I have to.
And then the best part about it all is like they have tears in their eyes, and Pandya has the national India's flag on his shoulder, and he's doing the lap.
I've seen this. Yeah.
Crazy, just
And I think
amazing, truly amazing.
The team was so good, and the team was so supportive of each other. They let him lead.
Yeah.
This is your moment.
Yeah.
We are not going to take it from you.
Yeah.
Even Bumrah, it was actually Bumrah's moment. The whole World
It was
Cup
Bumrah's tournament.
Yeah, it was actually he was the man of the tournament for that.
Yeah.
But they let him lead the winning parade. You lead. It is your moment. You have.
That's
from the
like an answer to those 3 months of shame.
Truly, exactly.
Truly,
and that's the entire team answering that.
Yeah, I mean, to be very honest, it doesn't really matter. Domestic tournaments at the end of the day don't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was also natural for Mumbai Indians to shift to a younger captain.
Yeah.
But how they treated, how they sent off Rohit Sharma was,
that was a point of outrage. Yeah.
But in a way, it was very natural for them to have a younger captain coming in. And,
very organic.
Yeah. I still believe that the Dhoni sent off is the best in Chennai Super Kings.
Yeah.
He himself says that I don't want to be the captain. Then he comes back as a captain.
Yeah. And then he gives it again.
Yeah, in the mid-season he comes back as a captain.
Yeah.
Jadeja himself says that I don't want to be the captain. Dhoni bhai will lead. Dhoni bhai is like a god that हमसे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है आप ही करवा के. And he's very happy to do it. And, still believe coming to
Dhoni has a lot of cricket left in him to give.
Yeah. I think cricket will never leave Dhoni. I think it's again a very filmy thing of saying.
Especially Chennai Super Kings cricket is the
So I actually did have a conversation with one of the Chennai Super Kings players very recently. So Simarjeet Singh, one of the main parts of the Chennai Super Kings setup right now. I talked to him very recently, and I did ask him this question that now Ruturaj Gaikwad has been given the captaincy. Dhoni is no longer the captain. But in moments of chaos and moments of tension, does the natural captain in Dhoni just get switched on? I asked him this, that does he naturally just pull rank and be like, Ruturaj to wait kar, I'll lead the team. Does he do that? And Simarjeet just had a very natural answer. He's like, he's always turned on as a captain. That switch is always on. It's just that he is so courteous with the captain that he lets him do it, and he does it in a very advisory fashion. So I think that's again another aspect of what Indian cricket is right now. You have such seniority and the diverse gap in age. Now the senior players and the junior players the difference is very vast.
Yeah.
So I think the senior players, it's up to them. Will they be, courteous enough to let them lead forward?
Best leader is the one with a great advice.
True. Yeah. So I think that's how it's
Kohli said this in an interview that, Dhoni bhai has a certain fashion to him. He, when he was the captain, he was made the captain after Dhoni. He would just come up and he would say, Chiku, slip laga sakta hai. And then he would just go back to the wickets.
And you trust your senior.
Guardian angel hai.
No, but the thing is, to a very sort of, I know it's a very weird way of looking at it. But these junior players must have grown up watching these players, right?
Correct.
You're playing with them. You might end up leading them at one point, because who would have thought Virat Kohli would be a captain with Dhoni in the team? Yeah. Right? He said it so many times that Dhoni was courteous enough to stay on for a couple of more years to nurture Kohli as a captain, because Indian captaincy has always been very difficult. It's a huge burden. You're under so much scrutiny. And if you have someone of Dhoni's acumen leading you through that whole process, then you can almost be a little free and have your own ideas. That's what happened with Rohit and Kohli as well. The transition was very smooth. But will that transition be smooth going forward? It's a question to be answered.
And captaincy actually takes a toll on your batting. That did not happen with
Yeah.
Rohit.
Yeah.
I have seen the first case that has not happened.
Yeah.
It took a toll on Kohli. It took a toll on Dhoni.
Yeah.
Dhoni was a power hitter. He did not get as many
Yeah.
runs as he
Basically,
used
your
to.
mind is already occupied with.
Yeah, you start sacrificing your
Yeah.
game for the leadership, right?
It happened with the
Right.
biggest cricketer there
Yeah.
ever is.
And
Sachin.
some people couldn't handle it. Like
Yeah.
Dravid was given captaincy, Lakshman was given captaincy, Sehwag was given captaincy, Sachin. None of them were able to balance those two things because at that point of time we weren't in a good position as a nation that we could say कि भाई Sachin or Lakshman can take a backseat with their batting,
Yeah.
lead the team.
Yeah.
They were so important because in the 4 or 5 after that we didn't have runs.
No, not enough room for experimentation.
Yeah.
But with Dhoni we had that luxury and boy did it pay off.
वो
Yeah.
तो naturally calm लगता है मेरे को.
Yeah.
मैं completely as an outsider बोल रहा हूँ. मेरे को धोनी बहुत calm लगता है.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
He has
under
that.
pressure, he doesn't.
He's not phased at all.
हाँ.
Completely like
And,
chill.
In 100 overs, whether you're batting, whether you're bowling, especially in bowling, he's just switched on. Like,
Yeah.
And what works for Virat Kohli, according to me, is he's already very aggressive. So no one can tell whether he is under pressure or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So
almost
it works
feeds
for
off
him.
of pressure.
It
Yeah.
works like a charm for
Yeah.
him.
No, he has almost like you said, he feeds off his pressure. His greatest innings have come when he's chasing.
Yeah.
And it's the most
Yeah.
pressure situation there ever is. When you're chasing, you're down and you're just the, one man remaining.
Yeah.
Everyone after you is a bowler.
And yet the opponent are scared of you.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like they're intimidated of you, even though you're like 36 for 7 or something.
Yeah.
But Kohli's batting was still scared. He could still win.
It's
That
like Mufasa, man.
right.
Right.
So, yeah.
And coming to we were talking about Dhoni, and I think the one player who has just read him through, who has read Dhoni like a book, is Rishabh Pant.
Yes.
And I can just almost see that how Rishab Pant is very much trying to emulate Dhoni in a way, but he has his own virtues as well.
Yeah.
Because he's funny,
Yeah.
that is his biggest virtue
Yeah.
on the field. But the transition was amazing. What he has gone to death, and he has come from that, and how he has still continuing with his streaks, with his same playing style and everything.
Yeah, I think again very miraculous story of Rishabh Pant, to be honest. I think to go through what he did go through with that accident and everything, and we just everyone just wrote him off, right? I think doctors had written him off, saying ki the recovery is all near impossible. Even if he does walk, I don't think he can play cricket. That's I think one of the verdicts that came out very early on in his recovery process. But I mean, big credits to him for the way that he has toiled, the way he's worked hard and gotten to match fitness.
Correct.
I think we're still not seen the best version of Rishabh Pant after his comeback. We've seen glimpses of it.
Yeah.
But I think going forward in the next couple of months, we have the Border Gavaskar Trophy coming up.
Right.
The team is traveling to Australia. Test matches, I think it's the piece of cake for Rishabh Pant at this point.
Yeah.
Test cricket in Australia. I think will be the biggest test of him. Is he completely back? Because it's not just physicality, as we were saying.
Yeah.
That mental fortitude of his to come back from
Obviously, man. It's a big mental toll.
Yeah. So I think for him, if he can recover from that and put in a great shift in Australia, I think that'll almost establish him as the guy for the next decade for sure.
Yeah.
How many people do get a second chance like that?
Exactly.
It's just crazy.
It's bizarre, man. How
I mean, you look at the magnitude of the chance that he's got.
Yeah.
He's not only has he come back from a near-death experience.
Sort of like stars aligned for that person to be there at that moment.
I mean, nobody so the World Cup happened in July, August, around that time, right? The 2024 World Cup in July.
29 June.
29 June.
Is the final.
Right. Yeah.
Was
So in January of this year, we were still saying that Pant is way off recovery. And nobody even was thinking about the World Cup in January ki bhai Pant has even a chance. But for him to start every game in the World Cup, he played every single game. So that puts into perspective just how brilliant he is as a cricketer off the field and on the field.
The first surprise was he came back in the IPL in April.
Yeah.
And that was like a miracle.
Yeah.
January you were saying he's done. April he's back.
Yeah.
He's like leading the team.
Yeah.
That was, a wholesome moment.
Yeah.
Or Rishabh Pant, I remember when he was 24 or something, because Test is such a long format, you have 4 innings, no one player has ever been able to pull it off, that we are winning the test match because of one
One guy.
singular guy.
Right.
And Harsha Bhogle says it in his commentary that, there has never been many players who will won a test match for the whole team.
Yeah.
There's always one or two more people contributing to the team. But Rishabh Pant has had 4 such matches.
Yeah.
At the age of
Not just
24.
one.
At the age of 24.
That's crazy.
That's
endurance,
crazy.
Man, on
I mean, he is the definition of clutch, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, I think from a very, very young age, I don't know if we have had any players of that caliber before,
Yeah.
where you're like, this guy could actually win this from here.
Correct.
That GABA game from 2021,
Hmm.
I think that was sort of a Sachin has gotten out, let's turn the TV off sort of a moment.
Right.
The entire team has collapsed. It's a completely injury hit team. We have gone there with like reserves on reserves on reserves that game. Yeah.
Virat Kohli was not playing that game.
No, Kohli was out.
Mostly the younger lot was
Yeah.
playing.
A
Ajinkya Rahane was
a
leading.
lot of the injury subs that were taken off. So there's a thing in cricket where you call it net bowler. A net bowler is basically he's just there for the batters to prepare. He's not going to be a part of the team officially.
Yeah.
We were so injury hit in that series that net bowlers actually got a chance to play.
Yeah.
And we actually went with that team and we actually won. So I think that was
Washington Sundar.
Washington Sundar, Navdeep Saini,
Yeah.
there was T. Natarajan also,
Oh, yeah.
all of these guys. So I think, so what Pant did on that occasion was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
So to speak, giving credit to Gill also, he scored a
Yeah,
91.
90, yeah.
91, yeah. So he's never mentioned in that series, but
Yeah.
I think that was the time when the world was shifting towards Gill in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah.
because Kohli was rested or he has gone back to home
Yeah.
in that series, and Rishabh Pant was actually looked at as the next Dhoni,
Yeah.
and Gill was looked at
As
as
the
the
next
next Kohli.
Yeah.
So in a way, he was also the prince that you said.
Yeah.
But right now, who do you think the next skipper will be?
I think
looking
captaincy.
at younger lot.
I think captaincy is a huge dilemma. As I said, I think we've not really found that natural transition as of yet.
Yeah.
We've been sort of, I don't know, we've been cursed with great talent over the last few years where it's been very natural. But I think it's probably been at the hardest spot right now. Pant and Gill, in my opinion, are still the two biggest contenders. I feel because they're still the right age profile. They still have the kind of personality that you need. I, in my personal opinion, don't see Gill as a very good captain.
Okay.
I mean, he's a very adequate captain. I'm not gonna, go against the great minds who have actually
You're saying
decided.
in comparison to Pant.
In comparison to Pant,
Yeah.
I don't think Gill is that ideal of a captain. I think Bumrah would be a fantastic captain, but I
Yeah.
think he's not as young as Pant and Gill are. If
Correct.
India are planning for the next decade,
Correct.
then maybe you're not looking at Bumrah as the captain to lead. Same with I think Surya Kumar Yadav and Hardik Pandya also.
Right,
These three have shown great success as captains in franchise cricket and for India at some points as well. I think for me personally, the best version, like best alternative for India going forward will be to have 3 different captains for three different formats.
Okay.
I've discussed this, like I've actually spoken about this quite a lot before also. It's just that we need to adapt format wise. I think even with squad selection, with captaincy, with tactics. What Australia, what England have done,
Correct.
they have
Have a
had
different team for different
different formats. They have different planning. They have different coaches for that matter. England have a specific test coaching setup.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that maybe we can pick up on. I think for tests, I think Bumrah is a very, very good captain, in my opinion, if we're looking at that. I think similar to what Pat Cummins has done for Australia, I think it'd be fantastic. Because, if a bowler is a captain, most of the pressure is off. Because most of the planning is done from that department.
Right,
A captain doesn't really have a lot of say in the batting, of course. So the bowling, you need someone of that caliber. And I think Bumrah is a very calming presence. He understands the game really well. Because he's not the express pace bowler. He's very smart. So I think most of his game is dictated by how smart he is. He outthinks the batsman, as we say, right?
Correct.
So I think from that theory, I think Bumrah would be a fantastic test captain. Similar to that, I think for one-dayers, I think Pandya would be a phenomenal one-day captain.
Correct.
Game is a little slower than T20. He doesn't have to think too much. He can still field in the outfield and have a control over the game.
Yeah.
And for T20s, I would say Pant.
I think India traditionally has never seen a bowler as a captain.
Yeah,
right?
true.
And we are conditioned in that way. We
Yeah.
do not see a leader as a
Yeah.
bowler. Like Ashwin,
But I think neither did Australia also before
Yeah.
Pat Cummins, right?
But thing
I
is,
can
I
say,
think
but
now the time is right for
McGrath or
McGrath never led the team.
but he was seen as a leader.
He was seen as a leader, But I think for Cummins to come through that whole sandpaper gate scandal, the Tim Payne captaincy not working out, for him to step up and to have Australia to have that much success, I think that's a good game plan that maybe India can look at.
And the boy did it pay off.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the point is, I mean, the time is right for having a bowler as a captain, because your entire game format and your strategies are revolving around the ball.
Yeah, true.
So why don't you just recognize it?
Very unheard of also for Indian history for a team to be bowler centric.
No, I've seen that when Dhoni was phasing out in the test, he was not as successful as some of his predecessors was. So Ashwin was looked at as an alternative, and he was like he is a proper chess player.
Yeah, similar to Kumble. I think Kumble led the Indian team in tests at one point to great success also. Yeah, as I said, I think that theory of bowlers being great test leaders, I think that's a theory that we can tap into again.
Correct. And chalo, anyhow, I think we have talked
at length
about cricket.
And by the way, just a disclaimer, I mean, you guys have narrated everything so well for me that it was so intriguing for me to understand and everything, because new to it. It was great, man.
Yeah, it still gives me goosebumps. How we were narrating it, I'm like, oh damn, am I such a good speaker? or he is,